This president seems just determined to be tone deaf in terms of the human consequences of the policies that he himself has caused, and he should go there. Bipartisan support for that, and we've had bipartisan members of Congress go down there and see it for themselves, and the president should see what we saw, and I think then he would perhaps reconsider his decision not to do anything to solve the problem, but rather than just to throw money at it.
He has been assailed for many things, but perhaps the most interesting is how members of the left go after him for being two things, a Republican and being a black Republican. This, of course, means nothing is going to be off limits as we welcome into MidPoint the man who admits he was born into a family of Democrats and then converted after learning something about history. Former member of the U.S. Air Force, now host of his controversial radio program on WAARadio, Wayne Dupree settles into MidPoint. Wayne, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Berlin. How are you?
It is always a pleasure. Please call me Ed, because everybody says Mr. Berliner. I turn around, I think my dad is right behind me. You and I probably come from the same generation. It's you hear Mr. Dupree and you go, "What's my dad here all of a sudden?" All right,
you are totally right.
See, there you go. We all come from that same generation. All right, let's get on to the border here right now, which I guess has got you guys all locked up, and a lot of people are talking about it right now. I wanted to get your comment on this. Earlier this hour, we had a guest on the show who was bringing back the Minutemen, Jim Gilchrist. He's talking about 3,500 volunteers along the border from San Diego to Texas. What do you think about getting more people involved here and just having basic citizens at the border?
You know what? I think it's the best thing to do. I watched what they did out in Marietta, and you saw American citizens coming together and saying, "We don't want this." And the people in Washington, who are separated from the people on the ground, they don't want to listen to their phone calls. They don't want to read their emails. And when they march, they don't want to come outside the congressional walls of safety. I think it's needed for Americans to start standing up on the ground and protecting their neighborhoods and their communities from the government who is doing this, or who is doing this overreach.
Isn't it possible, though, and I brought this up to Jim Gilchrist, that you could have some trouble here because you have people who are armed, and you've got National Guard troops in Texas, and you've also got a lot of Border Patrol agents as well working the site and working the border here? Isn't there a possibility that people just got to maybe calm down a little bit and don't get too emotional about all this, because you're always afraid that something stupid is going to happen?
You know what? Something stupid always can happen, but America's passion has been somewhat blanketed with these ongoing scandals or felonies or whatever you call it over the last 5.5 years. I mean, there's so many going on that many people on the ground have been like, well, that's just Washington or whatnot. But now these buses of illegal immigrants are coming in. They're busing them in every day, and they want these community sanctuary cities to take over these illegal immigrants, and they want America to be okay with that, throwing the kids, the quote kid, these are kids. Well, they're also families, and they're also gang members, and something needs to be done, and the only people that are going to do something are the Americans.
Wayne, let's look at something else with the U.S. government here, or at least members of the United States. There is a move to decriminalize pot in America. Matter of fact, the New York Times came out and said, time to take it off the criminal list. What are you hearing?
You know what? This is kind of personal for me because, number one, I don't smoke and I don't drink. I don't partake in drug use. And I have children that I wouldn't want doing it either. If Florida feels like if 88% of Florida voters support that legal use of wacky tobacco or Latin lettuce, then who am I to challenge? Do I think people should do it? No. Do I respect their freedom to do so? Yes, it's America. But, and I don't feel like I'm going to take somebody, I'm not trying to take anybody's right away, but I'm not going to step in front of a podium and say, everybody must do it, because it's against what I believe.
Is it fair to say maybe that this is an issue that is lost, that there are many people fighting this, but it just seems to be that with certain states making it legal, that this might just be a slippery slope that you can't stop?
Yes, it is a slippery slope that that isn't going to stop. I mean, look at who's in office right now. I mean, these are the ones that used to do it. I mean, and now they're in office and they're promoting it and they're backing it. And no, I mean, honestly, I really don't think it's going to stop. I think that it's going to be legalized throughout all of the nation, and then it's back on the parents. It's back on the parents to teach their kids. You can either go this way or you can go this way. Maybe maybe there should be a campaign out on this is what it looks like what you are using it, and this is what you can do if you don't use it. Maybe that might wake some people up.
Going to go back to that old commercial back from the 70s. This is your brain on drugs, and it was a frying egg in a pan somewhere. We'll get to that one next. Hey, I got about a minute left. Yeah, see, we remember that, same generation. The poll is out recently from CNN where it talked about if you could vote today between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, who would you vote for? And I think it surprised a lot of people that Mitt Romney actually finished with 53% of the vote. Most people who responded to the poll said they'd vote for him before they would vote for the current president. What's your reaction?
You know what? I mean, this is crazy for them even to do this because it's too late. It's too late. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, we all know that Mitt Romney would have been a better president than Barack Obama. There are many that think that he was liberal in some of his standings, but I don't think he would have went and done what Barack Obama has done right now. Anybody would have been president. I mean, better than this guy in the office right now. I would have been better. I'm not running though, Ed, but well, maybe I will one day. I don't know. But,
well, you don't know. You have a forum, so.
Anybody would have been better than this guy that's in there right now. What we need is a leader. We need somebody that's going to stand and say, this is what I believe in. This is the way we're going to go, and not sit on the rails and go back. Well, maybe. No. We need somebody on the world stage.
There you go.
That's going to be powerful, just like Ronald Reagan.
We'll see if we can get somebody there. We're all out of time. Wayne Dupree from WAARadio. Thanks so much for joining us, Wayne. We'll do it again.
Hey, thank you. All right.
All right. See that? He remembers the same ad as I do. Next up, airborne and spreading. Nothing hyperbolic about the Ebola virus. The subject of News Call.